All right, well, today I wanted to talk about why I don't trust many people. I'll be telling you three stories of times I felt wronged by people in the past and what it taught me about the true human nature of people. I was back in college and I was working this job on campus, and I had just transferred to this new university. And there was this guy I worked with that seemed like a pretty chill guy. He was always cracking jokes at work, and he just had like a pretty upbeat attitude. When I first transferred here, I wanted to meet people and, make some friends. And I think this guy might have picked up on that. And we would shoot the shit at work whenever we sat next to each other. And one day he invited me back to his place to chill. And he was like a poor man's version of Shamar Moore, if you're familiar with him, with just a lot of facial hair. He was super nice to me, almost like too nice, it felt. And it was interesting because he would talk to his roommates in a completely different way. He would kind of like talk trash to them in a somewhat like demeaning way that wasn't even really joking around. But he was always like super nice, super chill to me. It was kind of weird looking back. And we had chilled a few more times after work over the next few months. And I remember I had gotten friends together to meet me out at a local bar for my birthday, and he had shown up, and I was getting a drink with him at the bar while the other people were sitting at a nearby table. And he had said to me, he's like, "Yo, man, I've been meaning to ask you, do you keep your options open for making money?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." Like, I didn't think much of it, didn't think much of the question. And he's like, "Yeah, you'll have to come out to this event my friend is throwing. He's like 23 years old and he's making almost $1 million a year. I joined a few months back and I think you'd be a really good fit." And I was pretty young and naive at the time when it came to like MLMs. And I just thought it would be another way to like meet people, have some drinks, and just have a little bit of fun. So I ended up showing up to this event, and it was just like really freaking weird. Like, there were 20 kids that were like crammed in this smallest apartment, and there's this guy at the front of the room just like spurting off motivational quotes and telling everyone that if they join this company, they'll all be millionaires by the end of the year. And this was kind of my first time experiencing something like that, and I was like, like this seems weird. This seems kind of sketch, kind of interesting. The guy who I thought was my friend had asked me like, "What do you think, man?" And I told him like, "Yeah, it seems interesting. Like, I don't know. Like, let me know if there's another meeting." So he ends up like convincing me to go to this other meeting the next week, and there's like way less people there. And I guess it's pretty much like everyone that's in the MLM. And I guess it wasn't a meeting I should have been at, because the same guy at the front that was yelling at the other people in the room, like, "Why haven't you guys gotten anyone in the business this past month? You're fucking slacking." And like alarm bells were like going off in my head. And I remember thinking like, yeah, this thing's like a scam. And I guess I was the only person that like wasn't in the MLM. And I don't think I was supposed to be there. And then after the meeting, I was like walking back to my car with my friend, and he had asked me, "So are you ready to join?" Then he like explained that he's like, "It's going to be $500 a join. And then you buy a pack for $150 every month. But all you have to do, man, is get 3 people to join under you. And that 150 is covered. And then they get 3 people. And then they get 3 people." And I told him that I would like get back to him. And I had done research on the company later that night. It was like an energy drink company, and there were just like tons of complaints. And on the income disclosure statement, I went to their website, like literally 90% of the reps like lost money. And I remember texting my friend that I wasn't interested. And I remember he texted back and was pretty pissed. He then followed up like asking if I wanted to like buy a case of energy drinks for $150, to which I replied that I just wasn't interested in that either. And he like completely ghosted me after that. It was like, before he would act like super nice, super friendly, invite me to hang out. And now it was like he wouldn't even like talk to me. Like, it was a complete 360. I remember seeing him on campus a few times, and he would just like walk right by me like I was a ghost, like I didn't exist. And it made me realize that some people will act fake to you to try and get something out of you. In this case, he wanted my money. But when they can't get that something from you, they just like want nothing to do with you. And I felt pretty shitty and betrayed by this guy, to be honest. Looking back, it's fucking hilarious. Like, I think I find it funny. And luckily, we didn't work on the same shift for the rest of the year. And many years ago, I dated this Italian chick for about a year and a half. I had a close friend's friend who had also dated this girl previously for about a year as well. And I took her to a Halloween party at my friend's house, and I discovered that this guy who was a friend of my close friend had dated her previously. And she really didn't go into depth about him at the party. She just kind of pointed him out and said, hey, I used to date that guy. But the next day, she had told me that he was like, I guess, very controlling when they were together. And after they broke up, that he would like sit outside of her house in his car, and he would like leave her notes at her front door for like months, and constantly like email her for a while, and she would just never respond. And this girl and I ended up breaking it off a few months later. So, I wasn't even seeing her at this point, this next time I saw this guy. So my buddy had gotten everyone together to go out to the bars in like the city that's closest to us. And this guy was there that night. And I didn't really have anything against him personally. I thought it was definitely super weird that, my ex-girlfriend had told me that he would like wait outside of her house in his car for a period of time after they broke it off. But I really didn't think much of him, as he acted super friendly to my face, and he seemed like he seemed all right. I didn't really think much of him. And that night I ended up making out with this like random girl at the bar, and he was probably like 10 feet away, so he could see this happening. And we had probably made out for like maybe 10-15 minutes, and then I separated from the rest of the group to hang out with her for the rest of the night. But about a week later, my ex-girlfriend had actually texted me saying that this guy had sent her an email saying that he saw me make out with another girl at the bar. And I guess he didn't know that I wasn't dating her anymore, and this was like his way of trying to like get her back. But I guess he didn't really do his homework, as I wasn't dating her anymore, and it didn't work for her, but she still thought he was like super crazy. And I thanked her for letting me know, and she didn't have to do that. But through this, I really learned that some people would backstab you when they're jealous. When someone's jealous of you in a certain way, and you have something that they want, maybe it's a girl, or maybe it's money, maybe it's whatever. Some people will try to backstab you if you have something that they want that maybe they feel like they can't have. And the last story happened about a year and a half ago. I was dating this girl that was definitely, I would say, one of the most attractive women I've ever dated. To give you like for visual context, she's about 5'10", 5'11", she's blonde. She had actually done modeling in the past. She had blue eyes, very fit. She had me beat in the looks department by a good bit. And we were dating for about 6 months, and we lived about 2 hours from each other. I would come visit her one weekend, and then she would typically come to see me the next weekend. We had a decent amount in common. We were both into fitness, had similar like music taste, both like traveling. The sex was good, and I didn't see any red flags outside the distance. And the fact that she was just more attractive than me, which looking back are two things that just weren't in my favor. And I remember it was a Sunday in December, and I woke up to her like tugging on my shoulder in kind of like a rough way. And I woke up out of like a deep sleep, and she immediately said, she's like, hey, I don't think you're the one for me. I need you to leave. And it just like hit me like a truck, and my heart like sank, because normally if she was waking me up, it would be like a gentle touch on the shoulder, a kiss on the cheek, something like that. But she went from being like super sweet the night before to just being super aggressive in the flip of a switch. It was interesting because the night before, she had said that after the holidays, I think it was like a few days before Christmas Eve at the time, that she wanted for us to go to Disney. And it was funny because we were going to look at flights the next day and, try to figure something out. But she just like flipped in the span of like 6-7 hours. Yeah, I'd left my watch in her apartment. I realized I left my watch there when I was going down the elevator. So I called her, and she picked up, and I let her know that I left my watch in her room. She said that she would leave it out front of the door, and she did. And that was really tough. Like, that was really tough to kind of walk back up there, pick up the watch, and she, like I said, the whole experience was just kind of very like jarring looking back. And I really learned through this experience that if a woman isn't super enthralled by you, eventually she's going to want someone better. And I think looking back, she wanted someone that she thought was on her level or above. As I, humbly enough, I definitely was punching a bit above my weight. I definitely tried to let that experience like motivate me to try to level up in different ways, physically, money wise, just in other areas, and just try to look at it from a positive lens, if that's even though it's really hard to. With that being said, I definitely have friends and family that I trust, but I just don't trust many people easily until I can really see that they're a trustworthy person, which takes a lot of time and experience. Well, if you've enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a like. Feel free to comment down below any experiences you have feeling betrayed, and feel free to subscribe. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care.